All right, here we go. Welcome to another episode of the Non-Victim Nation podcast. And today I have an incredible guest named Snyder, who is literally the greatest survivalist on the planet. Uh, I met you briefly at SHOT Show, and we had kind of a short interview there. We were talking about like some of the things you had going on with Tops Knives and the
Yeah.
new book that you have coming out. And
Oh yeah.
so, just having the opportunity to talk to you and
Yeah.
learn more about you, this is incredible.
No, I appreciate it. And folks, I am EJ Snyder. I'm a 25-year Army retired combat veteran. I retired as a sergeant major. I was a ranger and a paratrooper. I was a drill instructor, a ranger instructor, and actually taught survival and tracking in the Army. I've been an outdoorsman for well over 50 years, practicing the art of survival ever since I was like 8 years old. The very first time I ever got lost out in the wilderness, didn't like that uncomfortable experience, and got into it in scouting and formally trained in the Army. And then fast forward to today, it's my life has been an interesting journey, and I've taken everything I've gotten since I was a little kid and built upon a certain mindset in life.
Mhm.
And it's not always been easy, but you may have recognized me, folks out there from Discovery Channel, being on the hit TV series Naked Afraid. I'm a six-time legend of that series with 206 days, never tapped out. Really enjoyed the actual real life experience that is, even though it's a TV show, it's a real challenge out there. And then I hosted Dual Survival, Mountain Masters, and a bunch of other TV shows, and did some acting stunt work. But since then, the last few years I've moved into entrepreneurship. I've been a writer for a long time. I've written over probably 1,000 periodical pieces or articles for different magazines and blogs and newspapers. My own blog,
Mhm.
uh, and uh, uh, and I moved into authoring a book. I've always wanted to be an author and done a lot of motivational speaking. And I know here at the Non-Victim Nation, the big thing for this is, people say, "Oh my gosh, you did this, you did that." And it was like, yeah, my nickname's the Skull Crusher, but I wasn't always the Skull Crusher. I was a twig snapper at one time. As a kid, I got bullied a bit. I was
Mhm.
very skinny, very emotional. When my parents got divorced, that was very impactful on my life. And I just I learned early on that, you know, you can't count on no one in this life, sadly, but yourself. You have to
Mhm.
be able to count on yourself first because that's where it starts. Now, if you get a few other lions around you in your small circle, great. That's wonderful.
Mhm.
Um, but I had to process through bullying, and that will stay with you for a lot of years, even if you don't. I dealt with the bullies in the immediate, but they always seem to have traveled with me my entire life, and they always seem to, that little specter. Whether you're dealing with a boss, let's say, and they're
Right.
like giving you these, and they're kind of a bully in a verbal sense, and until you really straight up deal with that within yourself, you'll never be
Mhm.
able to deal with the external bully. And so I figured out pretty quick early on in life, life is about mindset. It don't matter if you're in the middle of the wilderness trying to survive, there's a survival mindset. If you're going through school, let's say college, and you're having to study,
Mhm.
there's a college, there's a what do you call it? A intellectual mindset to learning. If you're
Right.
dealing with certain challenges in your life, whether it's substance abuse, a relationship, challenges with debts, in finances, there's a mindset for that. But overall, if you have a winner's mindset, a can do
Mhm.
attitude that you're just not going to quit, and whatever gets thrown at you, doesn't matter the challenge. People say, how do you develop mindset? How do you exercise? And there's a few mental exercises you can do, but the big thing is you just have to have a positive mindset in everything you do, a can do attitude, and know that you'll never quit at whatever you're faced that there's always one more thing you can do in a
Mhm.
survival situation or in life, and you need to think through that. When all hope looks lost, there's always light at the end of the tunnel. There just may be a few trees in front of you that you got to take a machete and chop them out of the way. There may be a
Right.
mountain in front of you. You may
Mhm.
have to climb that mountain to get to the other side to see your reward. You may have to go around it. You may have to go down the river. But I always tell people the challenges you face in life develop this mindset and they give you that's an experience. And so the next time you might face with something similar, it makes it a lot easier to get through. So
Mhm.
Positive that mindset will get you through a lot of things in life. And it's not just about survival in the wilderness or this or that. You just have to focus right. Be
Hmm.
positive. The universe does not recognize long requests. Now, yes, I do pray every day. Start my day off every day praying. I pray several times a day. I meditate dedicatedly 20 minutes a day. I spend like 10 minutes in silence and tuning into the world, the
Hmm.
environment, the spirit, listening to the birds, and then I pray and meditate for about 20 minutes, both at the beginning of the day and the end of the day. It's dedicated practice, but it
Hmm.
attunes my body and my spirit for what's coming for the day. But you got to form habits in your life. A
Hmm.
wise man said, "You want to be successful in life? Go to bed when the birds go to bed, wake up when the birds wake up." And so I
Right.
try to practice that. Sometimes, you got to sleep in, but your body tells you need rest. But I try to form habits that become, second nature,
Right.
that are just, once it's a habit, you just do it. And so
Hmm.
to conquer certain things and demons, you want to have a mindset that's positive. And when you put your requests up to the universe, when you do your affirmations for the day and your intentions, it's singular and it should always be positive. If you and Bruce Lee says this, so there's if you want to see a wise person in life with some great philosophies, Bruce Lee, man, I love that dude for a lot of the things he used to say. If you put a negative out there, the universe, that's what's going to come back to you. So you try not to have negatives in your tone. You never speak negatively about yourself. You never talk negative. When you're over your food, you don't say, "Oh, this tastes horrible." Even
Right.
if it does taste horrible, wow, thank you for having this nourishment. Even though it tastes
Right.
like shit, thank you for this nourishment. That's a positive. And you want positives to come back. We're little radar antennas, little energy sticks out here.
Uh-huh.
And so you want to keep that out there. And and so in your life, you want to have a solid mindset, good habits, positive attitude, stay positive. And like when I see people, I always say hello to them. Good
Hmm.
morning. Smile at them. We don't do enough of that. We're social creatures as human beings, and
Right.
we got so much negativity in this world, so much anger.
Hmm.
That's terrible. You want to. The only way we're going to get to have a better union of peoples in this world, whether it's our country or around the globe, is to stay positive with each other, lift each other up.
Right.
There's some a-holes out there for sure. But if you just bless them and say a prayer, say, "Man, God bless you," or you just keep walking. As you walk away from them, you don't want to get in the altercation, but you just like, "God, I hope he has a better day. I pray for him. God,
Hmm.
help him out." Don't know what he's going through. We never know what someone's going through. I always tell people the words you speak to someone that you might be a total stranger, or the actions you take with them may save their life or change it for forever.
Right.
So that matters in your world. So when you come across somebody, and that happens to me all, you don't know how you're going to impact them. Just like this podcast you and I are doing right here, we don't know who's going to see this, and we may save a life today, and we'll never know. And it's not for us to know. We're just the messenger. I
Right.
don't I don't look for that glory. Hopefully, it's on the ticker counting when I get in front of the man, when I get up there, and when those sands in that hourglass, and when he puts them on the scale, I'm hoping that the green
Hmm.
rises up and the red goes down, and it's like, "Oh, you rose to the top. Welcome, my son. You did well. You had lessons. You learned from them. You
Right.
you and you adjusted, and but in all things, um, you know, I never look at, like, we have, would you no victims nation, correct? They said that right.
Non-victimation.
Non-victim nation. Sorry, non-victim.
That's okay.
Um, I have a thing about people that get this victim syndrome, this victim attitude.
Hmm.
And we're going through some hard shit now. But if
Right.
you take on a negative of "I'm a victim, I'm always a victim, it's always against me, always against me," yeah, things are going to be against you because you keep piling that on yourself.
Hmm.
You got to dust that off. You got to flip that switch in your head. You got to change the way you think.
Hmm.
And, there's no way I could get through 60 days in those cold swamps of Louisiana if I had a victim attitude. "Oh, I didn't eat today. What am I going to do? Sit on my ass, put my thumb in my mouth, and cry about it?" No, I'm going to get out every day and get after it. I might only
Hmm.
eat a twig that day, but guess what? I have a twig. And
Right.
so it's like, and I'm trying to help people. That's why, originally you got the book there that we talked about this, the Emergency Home Preparedness Guy.
Yes,
I'm
sir.
always out there trying to help people. You know,
Hmm.
I'm not going to be, I'm not making millions of dollars off this thing. This book was not written for me to make money. It's written to get good information in the hands of everyday Joe and Jones to help them not be a victim, to help them prepare themselves, their own situation based on their budget, about bugging in, because during the pandemic, we knew that 90% of the world just stayed home. The other 10%
Hmm.
bugged out. Half of that 10% bugged out to bug in somewhere else. And then there was the other half that were like me that could go in the woods and live off the land for real.
Hmm.
And this book is you can go to my tree links in either Instagram or Facebook. Check it out on my website if you want a signed copy for $35 flat rate. That includes shipping. I will personalize it by you, whatever whoever you want this personalized to. I'll sign it, write you a nice message in there, get that out to you. But the bigger thing is, this prepares you for the next civil unrest, pandemic,
Hmm.
natural disaster or zombie apocalypse, and it's a good, easy read. It's years of my planning process and living through hurricanes and earthquakes and all kinds of tornadoes, all kinds of bad weather and different situations. I've got that knowledge consolidated. I co-wrote it with the Survival Summit, who, by the
Hmm.
way, also in my link tree, you get this, and these are on Amazon too. So if you don't want to
Hmm.
pay for a signed copy, go to Amazon. You type in EJ Snyder, but it's, like I said, it's in my link tree. My website's ejsnyder.com. If you want to learn more about me or link up with me on my social media, just go over there. All things EJ. I got survival classes and guiding. You can uh, if you want a private class, you can contact us. But Jesse, the guy that Wilbur, who helped me, he's the CEO of Survival Summit. He wrote this book. It's on Amazon. The link is in my link tree. It's called Pace Planning: Your Guide to Emergency Preparedness and Bug Out Strategies. Now, I talk about pace in my book, and we were going to have this in there, but it would have made the book way too big. We didn't even
Hmm.
in my on my website. There's a video called "The Ultimate Bug and Home Defense Guide," which is what birthed my book. But we couldn't even put in the 5 Ds of defense in there when you're defending your castle. So, but
Right.
PACE, PACE stands for, and you can use this in your life, folks. When you let's say you're having financial struggles, PACE, primary, alternate, contingency, emergency. That's planning. Whether it's
Right.
bugging out to go in the wilderness or your life.
Mhm.
Pace. You want to have a primary plan. How am I going to get out of this? You want to have an alternate plan that if the primary doesn't work, you go to alternate. You have a contingency. I always say have a backup to the backup to the backup. And then there's the emergency. I remember when I was a young private in the Army, my sergeant said, "Hey, you're going to drink up all your money. You're going to, stuff your dollars where they don't belong, and you're going to do all this stuff. You're going to eat out at Taco Bells and all these things.
Right.
Uh, you're going to spend all your money, but you take an envelope and you put $35 in that envelope and tape it up to the bottom of your desk and forget about it. That way, at
Hmm.
the end of the month, you'll have enough money to get a haircut, get some can of starch to press your uniform out, a can of polish to spit shine your boots,
Hmm.
and have enough left over for a six pack of beer and a bag of pretzels."
There you
And that was
go.
my emergency plan if all my money ran out. So,
Right.
two great books available on Amazon. Go to my either Instagram or Facebook. Go to my bio. It's in the link tree, and you can
Hmm.
get right to it. Connected. They're very good books to help you. And you might, yeah, it's based on survival stuff, but you can use a lot of the strategies in here. Just take out water, for instance, and put in study habits, and just go through the
Right.
process as your own brain. Just write down PACE for everything you do in life. Writing out
Hmm.
things is a very healthy exercise, and it can commit it to inside here. Because once you write it, you see it a few times, you commit it to yourself.
Right.
When I write things out, to me, it's like a contract with myself. And so
Right.
let's go. So anyway,
Hmm.
so that's a little bit of my out the gate, thoroughbred stuff for you today.
There you go. So I know that like during your military career, you not only went through SEER training yourself, but you actually were an instructor for that, correct?
Yes, I was. I went through in 1996. I was a senior sergeant first class at the time. I was down in the Florida Ranger camp training Rangers. They made me the primary survival instructor, and so to do that, I had to go through SEER school, which
Mhm.
was on my list when I was a bit younger then. I mean, I wasn't that old at that time. I was like 30 something. I think it was 29. And I was like, well, all right, I'll go to that. And it was really the greatest school you'd love to hate and would go back to just for it. Cause it was, you learn so much about yourself in that course, not
Mhm.
just survival, but a lot of mindset, mental stuff and what you can
Mhm.
take. It's all simulated so you can survive behind enemy lines, but it's role playing for real, and you go through that process. And then I loved the system so much. When I retired, I got a contract job instructing for about 5 years there before and I was kind of
Mhm.
doing TV stuff on the side, but I loved that job. I would go back and do it again. It was,
Mhm.
you're training soldiers and saving lives, and it was a little theatrical too because you're role playing. I
Right.
risked Comrade Krakenov, yeah, angry Russian, and so
Right.
I enjoyed it for the thespian in me.
Mhm.
Role playing, doing some acting.
Right. So I have to imagine that at least some of the training that you go through help develop the mindset because like in the
Oh
most
yeah,
extreme situations you get into,
yeah,
you have to have a different headspace
yeah.
than just a normal everyday life, right?
You learn to work through things from a different from a what do you would call it, a degraded ability. Sleep deprivation, you hadn't had a good meal in a while, you're
Hmm.
physically exhausted, you're not, you're under some stress, so you put yourself in almost a real world scenario. In the military, I always say train as you fight. So if you're going to put some stressors on people, you want to put those combat level stressors on them. So when you're a key leader and you're thinking in microseconds, as we do in the military, like normal people go through this process in their brain, takes them 3 to 5 seconds to make a key decision, maybe a
Hmm.
life-saving decision, which may be too slow. In the military, we learn to get that down to between 1.5 and 3 seconds, the OODA loop. But
Hmm.
a regular person, they may take a couple minutes to work through that thing. So you learn how to make critical thinking decisions under some duress very quickly, and SEER School just amplifies it. When I train people in survival, I try to put them in real world, you know, stress, feelings, put a time crunch on, do certain things to make them feel some pressure, so that
Hmm.
they can just calm themselves. Like in a
Right.
survival situation, tell you, stay calm. Any situation that happens in front of you, let's say
Yeah.
there's a mass shooting happens at the mall in front of you, stay calm. You want to pause, just stay calm. Of course, if rounds are flying, get down first, calm, pause
Hmm.
for a second, and assess the situation very quickly and make some decisions on what you're going to do. When your
Hmm.
life's on the line, in that situation, you got to make quick decisions. Now, in life, maybe you're making a financial decision. You have the luxury of time at that point to work through
Right.
some war game a little bit, and
Hmm.
if I do this, this could happen. If I go this way, that could happen. Goes back to this phase
Right.
planning. You
There you
know,
go.
you want to have lots of courses of actions if you can. Sometimes there
Hmm.
might only be one course of action.
Hmm. So kind of, I know that like you are a very spiritual person, first and foremost.
Hmm.
Religious person also. You pray on a regular basis and that sort
Oh
of
yes,
thing.
yep.
So at what point in your life do you feel like most of that was developing or you found that in yourself?
Very curious as a young kid. I grew up in
Hmm.
Jersey, a lot of Italian, mostly Italian neighborhoods. I'm Italian, uh, part Italian actually, and I went to Catholic church with my mother. That's traditional what we did. We're Italians. We're going to Catholic church. And I figured out very quickly, I was like, what is going on here?
Hmm.
There's a process, and I enjoyed religion, but it was so regimented, and there was these rules, and then I
Yeah.
would see the big Cadillacs pulling up, and they have the front row pews reserved for the first three of them for these guys getting out of these Cadillacs, which you knew was mob guys, and they're putting big envelopes in the basket, thinking that's going to buy their way to heaven, I guess. But it
Yeah.
was, helping the community out. I get some of that stuff, but it just didn't seem right to me. So
Hmm.
then I'm part Native American. So I started asking questions about religion, and my neighbor was Jewish, and I was curious about Jewish. Why are Hebrews? Mom, Philip is going to Hebrew school. I need to go to Hebrew school because I'm missing out. And I went to Hebrew school for a year, and they
Nice. Hmm.
honored this little Christian kid to go to Hebrew school. When I got to, my times in Iraq, you want to know thy enemy. So I was like, well, they're all studying this Muslim, this Quran. I better let me see what's in this thing. So I had a very religious experience. I started practicing the way my Native American heritage used
Hmm.
to practice, and even in Native Americans or Native cultures, they do things differently. They have
Hmm.
their own swath of how they worship. And then I got into like Druidism and shamanism, and I was just, um, so curious about the different uh, religions in the world. And it's like, well, if there's a God, why are there all these different religions? Are some aliens got us in test tubes down here and they're just giving us all religions to
Right.
control us and then for us to fight about it? So they have this experiment like we're a bunch of ants. I was really I've been reborn Christian a couple times. I'm Christian based and I'm very
Hmm.
nature based in my spirituality.
Hmm.
Um, and in the Bible, it says strictly, if two or more of you are gathered in my name, you're in church. Jesus didn't have four walls and every day say, hey, show up here. Those are good studies. You should go. I
Right.
know church works for some people. I love church for the spirit. I love the music. Um, but Jesus went where those he needed him most, which was all the vagabonds and the troublemakers. They're not in the church. They're out there in the street. So, I don't like necessarily rules or confinement. I'd like to be more free spirited in the way I go
Hmm.
about doing things, but I am regimented too. So it's kind of a balance of things. But
Right.
I walked a real crazy religious journey. I actually took a course in college, world religions, and I took it online, which was a
Hmm.
religious experience within itself, trying to have a lot of questions, and you have to really have to do the work yourself. It's really if you aren't good at self-discipline and study, you don't take an online course. But you got to find the answers yourself. You got to be driven.
Right.
And I learn better that way because I just don't. I can't sit in a class. I hate just sitting there, and I'd rather work at my own pace. And that gave me the
Hmm.
freedom to do it. But I learned a lot about religions in that course. That most religions all basically preach the same things: love thy neighbor, do unto others, be good, don't do evil, don't steal, don't kill, all those things, other than a few, which I'm sure we can all know what those are. But it had them all in there. And so
Hmm.
when I got done with that course, it was really enlightening. And it really, got me on the path to one day I was out there on one of my challenges. I was sitting under a 300-year-old oak tree praying, meditating. And I was like, God, what's my purpose? And it's like, kind of hit me all of a sudden. And it was like, you've been living your purpose. You've been doing your calling your whole life. And now we're just making you more aware that what you've been doing. And so,
Right.
man, that was so empowering at that moment in my life. It was 5 years ago, roughly, back during COVID 2020. I was
Hmm.
in a swamp underneath this tree, and it kind of hit me. And I was enlightened the fact that and I was in a lot of, you get so raw 60 days without a cheeseburger. And, we were eating, but you're so ketosed and you're eating a certain way and you're
Hmm.
depleting because you're cold. And I lost like 90 pounds during that challenge. But it's so raw and real. I wouldn't trade it for nothing. The things you learn about yourself in it. And so I had a very religious moment out there with that enlightenment, and so yeah. So religion, I feel for folks, it's good guidance, it's good direction,
Hmm.
but the relationship is one on one. Never forget that. That's the most important thing: is your personal relationship with God, your God, whoever you, the universe,
Hmm.
your spirit. I mean, because we don't know all the answers. Like I said,
Right.
the aliens could have gave us a book and said, "You're going to read
Yeah.
this book." and
Right.
and they could be God. We don't really know. I'm not questioning God, so don't think that at all. I know
Hmm.
where I sit with my views on this, and
Right.
um, And I think it's just a good way to walk through life.
Hmm. Yeah, like I said, just kind of as I've been like learning more about you and your history and things like that, I have to imagine that that is a very uh, key part of your mental process and how you manage to persevere even through the
Yeah.
most extreme things, you know. And it's
And
something that if people can start to adopt that thought process
yeah.
and understand that they're capable, you know, the things that
Yep.
seem impossible to us is it's only impossible because you've never done it,
Yeah.
you know.
And when you feel completely down and out, like, man, I don't got nowhere to turn, you can always turn to God or
Hmm.
your Lord, your spirit, and you can always just have a moment and ask, hey, I need your help. I'm too small for this. I'm too weak for this. What? And you may feel this calm come over you and say, all right, let me tighten the belt. I can go another mile and find
Right.
that gas station to get this gas can filled up because my kids are counting on me because the
Hmm.
car's back there in the snowstorm and I got to get us out of here. And,
Hmm.
those kind of things. You got to find whatever that thing is that makes you tick to get past that, what they would call a lot of people refer to the Rubicon, which is the point of no
Hmm.
return. What is it for you to get past that point? And
Right.
everybody's different. Everybody has breaking points and whatever. I don't know. I haven't found a quit point for me really so much. I mean, I may I may be I may be down dragging my tongue, but I will never admit, yeah, I'm done. I'll just that was tough.
Right.
I didn't get as far as I would have liked to, but next time I'm going to go that much further.
Right. There you go. And then I know also that you have kids of your own, correct?
Yep,
They're a
yep.
little bit older.
They're older.
Mhm.
Yep.
Um,
They go through their own challenges. None of them are like dad, but
mhm,
I love them each uniquely for their different strengths
mhm.
and what they have inside them is incredible.
Right.
Incredible.
So at different points, did you see them kind of like gravitating or kind of moving the same way that you did? Not necessarily doing all the extreme events and things,
No,
but with that.
they had their own challenges in life, and as a father, you try to advise but not meddle. When
Hmm.
you just want to grab them, your instincts as a father is to grab them, pick them up, wipe their nose, and make it all right. And I had a challenge with myself with my kids growing up because I was such a perfectionist and OCD guy. My
Uh-huh.
kids' school projects, when they had to do a project like an artsy thing or something,
Yeah.
you're getting an A on this one. We're all in on this. But I think it helped them understand how much I loved them and
Hmm.
that they developed their own ways. Like my son, he's incredible with finances, and
Hmm.
got a really good head on the shoulder and stubborn man, he is a stubborn. We knock heads sometimes on that because he's just very rigid and
Right.
not as flexible as I would have loved him to be, but that's who
Hmm.
he is. And then my daughter is an art person. She's a senior graphic artist and she's a manager in a print shop. And so she's um, very good at her expressing herself arts way. And she's just
Hmm.
got a very big, kind heart. And she's always wanting to help everybody and be there to support them. But she lacks a lot of competencies that she doesn't see in herself that I see, that she's a strong, independent person. And so all I can do now is just kind of give them some advice and guide them and help them
Right.
and let them learn. Because if I go in and do it like I did when they were 7 years old, when
Mhm.
I'm making the jellyfish for her book report, for instance, I'm not letting them work. I'm cheating them, and I cheated them of that
Right.
learning experience to get through that challenge on their own and have
Hmm.
that tool for later on in life. And
Right.
when a lot of parents we think we're doing good by that, but we got to let them fall once in a while. It's
Hmm.
okay that they fall; they can figure it out.
Right. Mhm. Yeah, that's an excellent lesson for people to understand that like
Yeah,
you can't give them all of your knowledge and all of your experience and just say, okay, here it is.
yeah,
They have to discover those things. They have to, learn that the stove is hot all by
yeah,
themselves.
yeah, for
So,
sure.
and so I want to be respectful of your time. I know that you have some other things going on, but there
Oh
was
yeah.
a particular product that you wanted to talk about. Mhm.
Oh yes, this thing. I found this product surprisingly uh, during Hurricane Helene. I was at a survival event in Saluda, North Carolina, called Prepper Camp. Which go look up their website, preppercamp.com. They They have a great event that goes on for the weekend. A lot of teachers and instructors and speakers there. All things, not just survival, but off-grid living. They talk about health, eating, a really nice array of just living skills. And they've got a ton of vendors there. Well, I found this thing called it's a rock pot. So yeah, oh
Mhm.
yeah, it looks like a crock pot. It's got nice handles here. And it works like a crock pot. But the great thing about this is, guess what? You don't need fuel, no gas, no propane. You don't need a fire underneath it to cook it. All right. You don't need any cookery. You don't need a stove or anything like that.
Right.
Where normally, or electricity. It functions just like a crock pot. So you got your little, got the top there. You got your pot. That's where all your goodies go. But it works very simply with this patent design. That's a flat rock. All right. It's a
Hmm.
very interesting stone. As it heats up, it'll develop some cracks in it, and it's got a little tool. And there's a little metal thing on there. You can see that, a little hook. You throw this in a fire for 30 minutes. Or
Uh-huh.
if you wanted to use it in your home, you could put it on the stove and heat it up for 30 minutes. And what happens is once it's heated up for 30 minutes, you open up your crock pot, or rock pot, sorry, not crock pot, rock
Right.
pot, all right? You take this stone after 30 minutes, you put it in here. You
Hmm.
put all your meat, your potatoes, your carrots, your vegetables, your beans. If you're
Hmm.
going to do like a pot roast, if you're going to do a stew, you put all your stuff in there. It's about three-quarter full, and it slow cooks your food over, a process of about 4 or 5 hours. And you can go, let's say in the morning, you can get this out at your job site. You're chopping wood in a survival situation, and then you got this, and you open it up. Everyone has a hot meal. Your whole family or whoever you're working with.
Hmm.
It's incredible, and it's so good. It works so well. And then I love that. Here, I'll show you this other thing. You have it. It's cooking, right? And then it comes. You can get this. Comes with some accessories so you can steam vegetables and stuff. But it comes
Right.
with this other bag, right? So you got this nice. It's a nice cloth bag. All right. It zips up. You put the crock pot, the rock pot, right in there. You close it up. It zips up. It's got a carry handle, and it's got this nice strap. And off you
Okay.
go. And you take your
There you
lunch
go.
with you. You got a hot meal. The great thing I love about it, though, is when Hurricane Helene hit, I was in Saluda. I stayed in West North Carolina 5 days after it hit, helping people clear roads, all that stuff, checking on
Hmm.
people because I could get to where other people couldn't go. I had the skill set. And then I
Right.
came back to Fayetteville, North Carolina, and helped some friends that were organizing supply runs back to Western North Carolina to get supplies in there because people were in bad shape. That was biblical storm. And sadly for months they were in bad shape. And the winter was coming. They were in Walmart tents. And I started getting these had people donating these rock pots to people. They would, buy one off the website, off my link, which is also in my link tree. If you want one, just go in there. There's a link in there. It gets you right there. But I was getting people, they were donating them to people out there so they could have a hot meal
Right.
because they lost everything, houses, their cars, all their earthly possessions. They're
Hmm.
out there in a real survival situation in cold weather. And if you can get a hot meal in you during the cold weather, man, it's imperative,
Yeah.
So we were getting a lot of those rock pots out there. That rock pot saved a lot of lives. So I swear by it, it's a great company. And go check them out. Again, go to ejsnyder.com to get on my social medias to follow me. But in Instagram and Facebook and even on X, in my bio, there's a link tree and it's in there. So go
Right.
check it out. Again, I like to share smart stuff with you. I don't push a lot of gear. I usually
Hmm.
try stuff out for 6 months to a year sometimes
Hmm.
before I'll recommend it. So that I've had that in my life for about 6 months now, since last September, and I use it all
Yeah.
the time. I've got two of
That's
them
awesome.
actually.
Mhm. There
So
you go.
that one I just got, but the other one I've been using like crazy. So I
Right.
wanted to have an extra one so I could cook two meals if or
There you
cook for
go.
more people.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So once again, I want to be respectful of your time, but I'm
Yes, sir.
so honored to have you on.
I
I
appreciate it.
love all of the information. Again, we've got the book, which I'm going to make sure that I put links in all of the show
Yep.
notes for
And
all
then
of the
you got
things we
the
talked about. Right.
We got the other one right there.
Hmm.
And matter of fact, I'll be doing a video on my Instagram today that'll, get that link there. And that book just came out, is on Amazon, and we've learned the difference. This was a great experience in itself because me and Jesse went through it together, and
Yeah.
we were with Skyhorse on this one. So we were toying between self-publish or get a publisher, and we went through the publishing process. It took us about a year and a half, almost 2 years, before we got there.
Hmm.
And let me tell you, it's okay, but man, I donate a lot of portions of my proceeds to veterans charities,
Hmm.
and you're getting maybe 10% royalty off of that, and it just, if I wanted to really make an impact, I'd have to sell 1 million books to make 100 grand. But then you
Right.
go to Amazon and you self-publish, like my friend Jesse did this time, and you get 40% back into your own pocket of something you worked on. But the other thing is you trade off his advertisement and all that. So for all
Yeah.
you wannabe authors out there, my advice is weigh the pros and cons of each. If you got a big following, self-publish, and you keep more in your pocket for your hard work and knowledge. For us, the
Right.
big thing was getting the knowledge out in people's hands.
Hmm.
So I'm glad I had both. I'm going to have both experiences on this. I'm writing a few more books, but once I get past book number 2, I'm probably going to start just self-publishing from then on.
Sounds like a good idea. And by all means, anything that I can do to help promote those and,
Oh, we
pass on
appreciate
the
it.
information, I will happily do. So,
Thank you very much. And then lastly, Survival Mastery back here is one of the companies I've stood up. Check us out at www.survivalmastery.co. And today you can use little EJ2025 and get you a nice little discount for signing up. It's a cost of maybe a couple lattes a month, subscription based platform that teaches all things outdoor skills, survival skills. We're
mhm.
doing mental stuff, wellness over there at Survival Mastery. It's a great platform. We launched in October. And then also check us out at freedompickles.com, my pickle company we could talk about next time. But we are getting ready
Nice.
to get into some Harris Teeter stores. We're in a bunch of farmers markets. We're looking to get in Mom's market, which is an organic market, and
Mhm.
maybe we're in some IGAs and some Hitchcocks. But we also have freedompickles.com web base. That's our website. And you can order some there as well. But we have a dill pickle, a garlicky, and a spicy right now. We're getting ready to do a sour one. They most all natural, no GMOs, no preservative pickles that you'll ever taste. It's the best tasting pickle and the healthiest. They have a Yuka app, Yuka, that tells you nutritional information about products.
Right.
Our scores a 90. A 90 is our product, and I'm all about being healthy. Even in a
Hmm.
survival situation, you want to try to stay as healthy as possible. And people
Right.
don't realize, like, pickle juice is the fastest way to return electrolytes to your body. Pickles
Hmm.
is a very healthy, all natural snack, and we don't have any junk in ours. So we also support the military. We're red, white, blue labels. Check us out, and we honor the
Right on.
military. So, yeah, I threw a few things out here. I'm not trying to do a big, information sales pitch here
Right.
because I suck at sales pitches, to pardon my French. But
Yeah.
those are some things going on. And again, most of the proceeds for everything you've seen here, we send them back to veterans, except for Rockpot. Rockpot, I send the proceeds all to Western North Carolina still because they still need
Okay.
help.
Yeah, definitely.
So again, I'm
Awesome.
not trying to make any money here for myself. I'm just trying to help veterans and my neighbors here in Western North Carolina.
Right. Everything
All
that
right,
you're doing is important, and I love it. And so it was like great talking with you, and I look forward to the next one. Mhm.
you got it, Rico. Stay well out there, non-victim nation, and take care of yourselves. Keep a positive mindset. Stay positive, and know that no matter what you're facing, you can get through it. Look for the man upstairs. Look in your own self. You can get through. There's always one more thing you can figure out to do. Stay
Awesome.
blessed.
Thank you so
Bye.
much.